Good morning, CCA family. Thank you so much for joining us for another Sunday video message. We miss you and we miss being together in the same room with you, but we trust that you're doing well and that you're staying encouraged during this time. By now, you know to follow us on our social pages and our YouTube channel. Download our Anatomy app and search for the Church Christian Centre Abbotsford. Click on that and register. And if you need any help with that process, just send us a WhatsApp. But we would love for you to update your details on there, and you can also join a small group from that platform. Also, good news, our website is going through a redesign, so keep your eye on that one. Last Sunday, we interviewed some of our elders, and they shared with us on cultivating and forming community, and we're so excited about that. And today, we're here at the Liebrum's home, and we've just checked it out with some of our people and asked them, how do they feel about all this? What do you think of when you hear the word church?
When I hear the word church, by default I think Sunday mornings, coming together, worshiping God, listening to an amazing sermon that will encourage me and excite me in my faith to live it out daily, grabbing some coffee with friends afterwards. And while this is amazing, is this really everything that Jesus envisioned for his church?
What does the word church actually mean?
The word church means ecclesia, which essentially means the called out ones, the ones called out by Jesus, pursuing Jesus, loving Jesus, and discovering Jesus. For me, the church is a group of people who follow Jesus. That's what it's focused around, and people who are discovering Jesus in a life together. And that's for me what the church is. It's not to do with anything with the building. It's got nothing to do with regular meetings in a specific place. It's got to do with us as a community living a life that Jesus has called us to live and discovering him in all his amazing goodness.
Who is Jesus in this biblical community?
Jesus in the biblical community is the central character. So the community itself gathers around the good news of the death, the resurrection, and the burial of Jesus Christ. So if any group of people can gather, they can gather for whatever reasons, for social reasons, or sport-related reasons. But in the biblical context, when we speak of a community that is founded on Jesus, it means that Jesus is the center. He is the foundation of this community.
So to me, if you ask me who is Jesus in this community, it's us. It's the reflection of Christ in us, really. And I'm not being sort of spiritual about it. That's really why I think Christ is. So Christ doesn't walk the earth anymore, but we do. And if we've really, a Christian which is like Christ, and then you can see it in us, And so to me, that's who Jesus is. It's us showing the world who Jesus is, basically.
If Jesus is central to this community, what are some of the most important things he has told us to do?
If you read the book of Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 to 20, Jesus makes it very clear that we are to follow his example of disciple making. And what that entails really is a life-on-life mentorship and life-on-life, impartation and empowerment of one another as believers, brothers and sisters. And therefore, if really the church as a whole is going to make an impact and a difference in the world, we have to go back to the basics, and that is disciple making. And that is why I'm excited to be part of this change and be part of this movement that has emanated from this time that we've had of lockdown. And on that note, I'm committed, and I hope you are too, and I'm looking forward to making a difference with you.
Jesus has called us to love one another and also to love our neighbor. When Jesus walked the earth, he had compassion on people who were without him. He saw them as sheep without a shepherd. And today, especially in these times, there are so many people who are without hope, who have lost their jobs, have lost loved ones, who are actually just lost without Christ. And we have a perfect opportunity to do what Jesus told us to do. He's called us to be witnesses for him. And with the help of the Holy Spirit, we are to bring His message, to bring His love to people, to reach out to those around us, to our neighbors, to our colleagues, even to our family. Many of us have family members who don't know Christ. And so let's hear His heart and let's respond to Him in this time. Let's make ourselves available to reach out to people who don't know Him.
Is there a picture of this community of Christ followers in the Bible?
Yes, there's actually a wonderful picture of community in the book of Acts. If you open to chapter 2 and you read from about 42 to the end of the chapter, you see this community of Christ followers spending time together, having fellowship with one another, eating meals together, looking out for each other's needs. Just an amazing snapshot of what Jesus has called us to be as the body. In fact, if you look at the rest of the book of Acts, you see how this community literally changes their environment. They change their neighborhoods, they change the cities that they live in because of the Christ life inside of them.
Share with us your experiences. What excites you and what are you imagining about this biblical community?
So what I'm most excited about the community that is founded on Jesus being the central character is that you get to experience the authenticity of relationships that are coming out of there. People are able to open up their lives and become vulnerable in a sense that we are sharing not only the message that one would give in a normal church, but we are sharing personal lives. We are sharing personal experiences. You know, we are giving each other opportunities to enter into one another's space and allowing each person to live their greatest potential. So this is exciting because other than any other community, in the community that Jesus is founding or Jesus is being the foundational rock, we share our lives with each other, vulnerable with each other, but also we're encouraging each other to live the way Jesus has taught us to live.
So to me, church or community is basically the relationships I've built with, friends, which have sort of organically sort of molded us into a family unit, really. And, especially in these times when we've got this pandemic going on, we've got a lockdown going on, we can be relevant to each other. We kind of know already where we are financially, emotionally, mentally, and that kind of helps when you feel stuck sometimes. Guys really know what's going on in your life, you're open. So it's easy to engage with each other. It's easy to encourage each other, it's easy to pray for one another, it's easy to be physically there for each other when you have this sort of relationship. And to me, that's the church, It's relevant, it's tangible, it's real. And what excites me is the possibility of expanding this community we have. And I would imagine that the church would look like this towards the world, something that's just real and there.
I think for far too long the church has been very much internally focused, and we now believe, having regrouped, having had time to reflect, as the body of Christ, and certainly as CCA, we want to be part of a bigger movement that we believe in our hearts that God is leading us into, of launching out and really making a material difference in people's lives, one person at a time. So this is why this is so exciting, and I hope to partner with many of you out there to make a difference in our local community and hopefully affect a movement that will impact the rest of the world.
I've had the privilege of witnessing in our home what this community looks like, and if you can imagine talking to a friend, maybe about a problem, or maybe you ask them to pray for you, and your friend's talking to you, and maybe you're looking down and you start to hear Jesus talking to you, and then you look up and it's actually your friend, and Jesus is speaking through this person. I think that is one of the most amazing and powerful things I've ever experienced, is Jesus himself speaking and working through his people. And so we've seen that. We've seen that in our home. We've seen that amongst our friends. And it's sometimes a little bit unnerving when you kind of hear his voice. You see his eyes through somebody else. And that's what we want to see. That's what I'm excited about. I want to see Jesus walking among us. You know, in the book of Revelation it says that he's the one that walks among the churches. And so I long to see Jesus walking among us, walking in our communities, in our homes, touching us, speaking to us, and using one another as vessels. That's what I'm excited about.
What I imagine is a loving community doing life together and reaching out to those around them, to neighbors, loved ones, colleagues, and really sharing Christ and bringing them into his kingdom and just sharing his love.
I've grown up in the church and I've had some beautiful experiences. From a really young age, my relationship with Jesus just grew because of the amazing people around me. I think of some of the children's church teachers I had, the youth leaders I had. They helped to nurture the giftings within me that had been placed there. They helped me to answer certain questions. They helped me to see Jesus and the importance of the gospel and how that pertains to my life and how I interact with others and how I interact with the world. So growing up in the church, some of my most beautiful experiences were the relationships that I built, the opportunities to be able to grow into those things that God has called me to, the giftings that he has given me. As I got older in the church, the community was so important. So those relationships again, helping me in my spiritual life, my walk with Jesus, being able to have others around me to kind of help clarify what is the voice of God sound like really? How do I obey? How do I live out my faith in everyday life? To grow in my gift of worship, which is something I'm absolutely passionate about. And then practically, some practical ways that I've been blessed by church community is when after each of my babies was born, all 3 girls, the community would come and bring us meals for weeks on end actually, which really helps especially when you've had your 3rd baby and you have a home full of kids and no time to cook. You're really tired, sleepless nights. How amazing that is for you. So in practical ways like that, amazing friends coming to help us fight fires when our home nearly burnt down twice. So that is a practical way that the church has blessed me. And some of my best friends have been through meeting them at church. And why have they become my best friends? Well, that's because they shared the same beliefs and values as me, and they've encouraged me. You know that cliche, iron sharpens iron. Well, it's true. And so that's some of the ways that I have been blessed by church. And that is my dream for others. And that is why I love God's design for the church. It's not only meant to be in a building. I've seen the church bless the community. I've been part of groups that have gone into the community and restored life and brought hope in practical ways and in spiritual ways, bringing truth, bringing hope, seeing people being healed, but also helping to build schools, restore homes that have been burnt down. That is the church. And then again, through empowering people in their own lives and in their own walk with God, those people are able to go into their workplaces, their families, and live out what God has called them to. And that's worship to God. When we work to the best of our abilities, the church is beautiful.
We are eager to start building this biblical community. What are the next steps for us at CCA?
So we understand that this is a journey, and so the next step we want to take towards this community that we're dreaming about is we want to start community groups. And so as soon as we are allowed to, we're going to adhere to all the safety regulations set out by the government, but we want to start to gather as community in our homes. Obviously, we'll only be able to do this if it's safe to do so. Otherwise, we'll look at alternative means like meeting via Zoom, but first choice is meeting in our homes. We understand that relationship already exists, community already exists, and so we want to encourage everybody to gather those people that you're connected with in relationships. Meet together, be the church, look out for one another and meet one another's needs.
So we're going to be starting groups, as you've heard, and although we would like them to be as natural as possible and for you to relate as naturally as possible, we also understand that people need some guidance and some help, and so we are going to do training. We want those of you who are going to offer yourselves as leaders to feel confident, to be prepared, to understand and kind of all be on the same page together. So in September, we are going to offer some training. If possible, we're going to meet at the church building on a Sunday. If our circumstances don't allow, we will do it another way. We're going to produce some short video clips, and we will do it via a digital platform like Zoom. We will have sessions that you can sign into and take it from there. So in terms of that, we'll keep you posted as we go. We'll have to read the terrain and see what's going to work best, but we really want to give you some tools to kind of equip you to feel confident to be able to facilitate a group in your home or in someone else's home, so that you feel ready. And I really want to encourage all of you. You've heard a lot today about what this community could be, what some of us dream about. I'm sure you have your own dreams about Jesus Church and what we could be and what we should be in our community, helping others. A lot of people really want to get practical and really want to live this out. And in order for us to make a difference in our city, the best way is to be spread, to be deployed, each of us in our homes and reaching out to people around us and inviting others in. So I encourage you, those of you who are able, if you're able, encourage you, please volunteer, join up, put your name down, enlist to become a community group leader. And for those of you who don't feel that confident yet, I encourage you to join a group. We'll let you know as we go when things are ready and how you're going to sign up and so forth. But I just want to encourage you to be part of this Jesus Church that He's building. It's going to be different. It's going to be exciting. It's going to probably be a bit messy, but that's great. That's kingdom life. It's life. And so we look forward to seeing Christ working through us and in us, and Holy Spirit bringing life where we are throughout the city.